and that their protocols are consensus. They are not consensus, and we are speaking in a loud, unified voice. Enough.
Dozens of doctors and medical organizations are teaming up to try and end gender surgeries for minors. The American College of Pediatricians wrote the declaration. It calls on American medical institutions to halt, quote, current harmful protocols promoted for children.
You will think this will be breaking news all over the world, right? The whole world should be talking about this, but not so much. Unfortunately, you have to bring this to the surface because this is not common news for the rest of the people. But again, what you're about to listen to is the American College of Pediatrician just put out a statement calling out all the major medical association by name for pushing the gender transition craze on kids. Listen, I don't know why we are so late to waking up to this reality. But again, this is coming. These are doctors. Again, they are Catholic run agencies, which is fine. I don't really care. But the fact of the matter is, they've done their research and done their homework, and they came to the conclusion this is bad news. First, nations around the world, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. There are nations around the world, such as the UK is waking up to this, Sweden, Norway, I think Finland also. They've decided we need to be very careful with this transgender ideology and stop transitioning children, giving them puberty blockers, because the study hasn't been done. We have yet to understand what the results will be. This is an issue that a lot of them are stepping back and reconsidering. However, here in the United States, we are not changing our mind. We're still pushing this on children. That is a problem. Now, look at this. And I want to read this. And this one here made headway the other day. It came out a couple days ago. Oh, man. Look at that. And again, this stuff right here is wild, what's going on here. Now, this is talking about WPATH. Okay, so an international transgender conspiracy has been unmasked. In what way? Now, look at this. So there was a leaked document, leaked files reveal how one influential organization is covering up the genders of transgender medicine. Troubled children deserve better. So this is the organization WPATH, okay, is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. There was a serious leak, and in the leak, what they discovered, there was no such thing as standard care for health, for the health of transgender and gender diverse people. There was no standard of care, and the supposed professionals themselves were not as professional. And a lot of this, in essence, is a tryout on the children. They are literally testing this on children. They're not even sure whether or not this stuff will work. And again, this stuff is shocking. It is shocking. Let me read a little bit of this. It says, okay, WPATH is a group of self-appointed experts who draft the influential standards of care for the health of transgender and gender diverse people. Now, it's 8th edition. These standards are used by health professionals worldwide and are held out and best practice in this area. So what they're finding out, here's the thing. In contrast, the file reflects a disregard for the foundational principle with lifelong implication for those affected. For example, there is discussion of blocking the puberty of a girl who is just 10 years old. Another practitioner says that explaining the consequences for fertility to a 14-year-old is like talking to a blank wall. Lord have mercy. In another discussion, a child psychologist or co-author of the latest standard of care admits, this is what they said, it is out of their development range to understand the extent to which some of these medical interventions are impacting them. So the people that are inside, they're like, oh, this is not a good thing that we are doing here. This is not a good thing that we are pushing on children here. But again, this article it needs to be read. I'm gonna link it in the description below because I gotta get to the video. This is wild. So they know. This stuff is not a good thing, but they're pushing it anyway. So the American College of Pediatrician put out a massive statement calling for this stuff to stop. Enough. This is not good and is hurting children. Let's take a listen.
And we have serious concerns about the physical and mental health effects of the current protocols promoted for the care of children and adolescents in the United States who express discomfort with their biological sex. This declaration was authored by the American College of Pediatricians, but really it was developed from the expertise of hundreds of doctors, researchers, and other healthcare workers and leaders who, for years, have been sounding the alarm on the harmful protocols that continue to be promoted by the medical organizations in the United States. Despite recent revelations from the leaked WPATH files and the recent release of the final report from the CAS review, these medical organizations have not changed course. So we are calling on these medical organizations of the United States, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to follow the science and their European colleagues and immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. In our declaration, we affirm that sex is a dimorphic, innate trait defined in relation to an organism's biological role in reproduction, male and female. This genetic signature is present in every nucleated somatic cell in the body and is not altered by drugs or surgical interventions. Consideration of these innate differences is critical to the practice of good medicine and to the development of sound policy for children and adults alike. Medical decision-making should be based upon an individual's biological sex. It should respect biological reality and the dignity of the person by compassionately addressing the whole person. We are here defying the claims made by these medical organizations in the US that those of us who are concerned are a minority and that their protocols are consensus. They are not consensus, and we are speaking in a loud, unified voice. Enough.
Enough, somebody. Stop it. We are hurting these children. Stop it. Let me share another video with you because they go a little bit deeper in this video. It's 5 minutes long. Let's engage with the discussion here.
Dozens of doctors and medical organizations are teaming up to try and end gender surgeries for minors. The American College of Pediatricians wrote the declaration. It calls on American medical institutions to halt, quote, current harmful protocols promoted for children and adolescents who express discomfort with their biological sex. It has been co-signed by more than a dozen organizations, including the Catholic Medical Association. And for more, we're joined now in the studio by Dr. Jill Simons, Executive Director of the American College of Pediatricians, and Mario Dickerson, Executive Director of the Catholic Medical Association. Thank you to you both for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Dr. Simons, I want to start with you first. Why did you feel the need to write this declaration, and why now?
Well, the American College of Pediatricians for years has been sounding the alarm about the dangers of these protocols that our medical institutions and organizations are endorsing. And recent events in the last few months, namely the leak of the WPATH files and then the release of the CAS report in England, just had overwhelming evidence that these so-called gender-affirming care treatments should not continue. And we thought that our colleagues here in the U.S. would take heed and also do the same and put a pause, but they've not. They've continued. And so we just came together as a coalition of medical doctors, organizations, and said enough.
Yeah. Why do you think that's happening? I mean, why do you think this agenda is sort of still pushing forward despite medical evidence otherwise?
Good question.
It's a good question, and I don't know if I have the answer. There's probably many reasons why this is so entrenched, and doctors, smart doctors, are not listening and seeing what we're seeing and making the same conclusions. We know a lot of physicians are afraid to speak out because they're being reprimanded or threatened, even loss of job. So we know a lot of physicians are staying silent because of that. But we're hoping that with our leadership, that doctors will step out of the sidelines and speak up and say enough.
Yeah, and
I don't think it's just the silence that from these physicians. I think there a whole lot of money being made. Okay, every one of these children, or they worth. I think it's about $1 million of medical care that they will receive during their supposed transitioning period, and they remain forever a patient to a doctor or some sort or an institution. So somebody's getting paid. That's why. Follow the money, man. And it's not just they're afraid. There's money behind the scene, man.
you had a lot of people that co-signed, a lot of organizations as well, like the Catholic Medical Organization. Tell us a little bit more, association that is. Mario, tell us why CMA decided to sign on to this. Why was it so important?
Absolutely. At the heart of it is protecting children. That's first and foremost. There's, I think there's a study that it's, 1%, it affects 1% of the children in the United States, 72 million children in the United States, so that's 720,000 children. But they're the children at the bus stops, they're the children, neighbors down the street. I have 6 children. A lot of children might be struggling and not expressing it. And so we're really advocating for the children is the primary reason. Mm-hmm. But certainly, we have physicians who have been persecuted as well, threatened with termination of employment for not, caving into some of these mandates that are coming out.
Yeah, and do you know, are you aware, are there any Catholic hospitals that are taking part in this type of treatment?
Right. I'm not aware of any Catholic hospitals that are doing that, but we would certainly encourage them to sign this declaration and just reassure their patients that they are standing on the side of not doing any harm to their children and just making a public statement. There's, I think it's, 10% of the Catholic hospitals in the United States in 1995, and in 2016, it's 16%. The hospitals in the United States are Catholic. So if the Catholic hospitals and healthcare systems were to sign on to this document, I think it would make a tremendous impact in healthcare in general in the United States.
Absolutely, very important. Dr. Simons, what do you hope comes from this, and what do you think will happen if we don't sort of reverse course on this type of treatment for children?
Well, I'm very optimistic. I have faith in my colleagues, pediatricians and physicians around the country, that we're going to do the right thing. I think a lot of...
I hope so too, but here's the problem. The reality is, by the time people turn around, it's just like the Titanic, right? Turning the ship around, it takes time. But the thing is, the damage is lasting for a lot of these kids. We're going to have some serious young patients in the future with bones problem, with all kind of genitalia issues, with a lot of affections. We're going to have a lot of children with mental health issues. Suicidal ideation is also going to increase. We're going to see a number of them just completely losing it. So make room, somebody. Open your heart wide. Open the church doors. We're going to have some people coming in with some serious issues who's going to need the Lord, some love, some help, some compassion. But again, it doesn't have to be this way, okay? Why are we doing this to children? It's because it's good for the money, man. It's good for the pocketbook. That's why. But unfortunately, I'm hoping there will be a change. And it's good to see the Catholics are leading the charge in this one and pushing forward for a drastic change. And I think that's good. But at the same time, let's not overlook there's going to be some serious, very negative consequences.
Right thing. I think a lot of people either are afraid or are, just not paying attention. And so this declaration is meant to get the message out there loud and clear. So I remain very optimistic that this is going to turn around.
Yeah. And if people want to read this full declaration or get more information, how can they do so?
So they can go to the website, doctorsprotectingchildren.org, and they can sign, they can read the declaration, see the list of co-signers, very impressive, and sign themselves.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you both so much for being here.
This is good. I appreciate that, and it's very informative and very helpful as well, and especially during a time when, you can even talk about some of these issues without being name called, and you know what? It's good. So what are we going to do? Are we going to keep pushing this stuff on children in these United States? You know how we be. We are late to respond. Other nations are waking up a long time ago, just like slavery, right? There were other nations like Great Britain and other. They were like, yo, we done. We're going to make a change. But here in the United States, we're like, nah, Nah, there's still some benefits too. You know what I'm saying? Let's squeeze every dollars from these people. And again, um, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad what's happening here with these children. When you hear the voice of these transitioners, makes my heart cry, man. Because I'm like, yo, this could be my son, it could be my daughter. This is not okay. These people are crying for help, man. They're crying for help. They didn't know what they were doing when they made these decisions. They were young. They were confused. And somebody in the system decided, hey, let me cut your body parts for you. Let me create something down there, and I'm gonna call it this female genitalia, a male. I mean, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind, crazy. You really are hurting little children. But what can we say, man? Again, one verse in the Bible destroys the entire argument, all right, for the transgender ideology. One verse. I like to use this one single verse. Jesus, what did he say? From the beginning, God made them male and female. We done talking. I am done talking. God made it. This has been so from the beginning. And there's only two genders, friends, male and female. Everything else that society is telling you is trying to confuse you from what God has created you from. The devil is playing with their minds. Pray for these children. Tell them the truth. Love them, but don't lie to them. Because there's a system in place who's going to play with their mind and take their money and put them in chain. Medically, they can't get out. And when they begin to realize they made a mistake, sometimes it is too late. It's not okay. I could say a lot more, but I think it's best to be quiet. Link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Share your thought and perspective with me. I want to hear from you. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.